Hi guys, it's your buddy Matt with the C47 Pride and Joy D-Day display, and I want to talk about this Avenger. This particular Avenger used to belong to the Valiant Air Command Museum in Tyco, Florida, or Titusville, Florida, something like that. They had the Tyco Bell C-47, and this Avenger is now at the Castle Air Museum, and as you can tell via the title on the video down there, it's Castle Air Museum, Grumman Avenger, General Motors TBM Avenger. And I want to talk about some of the stuff in this Avenger from this video, so let's take a quick look at it. And you can tell just how much damage there is on this aircraft, and you can see it there. Well, that's fine. They removed the rudder. You can see the damage down below. You can definitely see they took out the ball side window there. That does come out. You can tell the removal of paint and also the damage over here. So let's get into this video. I'm going to pause throughout certain points of this video and describe and discuss a couple of things that were, in my opinion, the dumbest things, again, that another Warbird pilot operator did. So let's get into it.
I'm excited about this one because this actually went through a crash and landed on the water.
Right, so this one crashed in Florida. So if you Google TBM Avenger Florida water crash, you'll see multiple videos from different angles
It's
of this
so
one
amazing.
crashing.
That's like one of the most amazing I've ever seen of a water land because it was so close to shore. There were people right there next to it. And can you imagine being there that day?
Enjoying the beach with little Johnny, little Jane. All of a sudden, here comes a plane in. And it wasn't more than 20 feet off the shore.
We're afraid of sharks in the ocean. We're not afraid of a plane.
Exactly. Yeah, so this is the Avenger, not the shark. So would have been cool. And that was its third crash. So it had crashed 2 times before that.
This is some battle wounds on it.
So yeah, and none of them were in the war. It was all post-war stuff.
That's a pretty funny story. This plane has got some weird history.
Yeah, so this is definitely taboo. Don't fly in this plane because chances are you're going to end up in the water.
But come see it at Castle Air Museum.
Right.
You can see up in here when they were hastily getting the engine covers off, they really scratched up a lot of that paint up there. And you can tell up in the cockpit sliding canopy there. And those canopies up here, actually, this is for the left canopy. That one slides, and you can leave the right side actually closed if you wanted to.
So you want to see it all dry. Now, inside here, from the water landing, this has been driven, that's sand from Florida.
Wow.
So after it was drug out, after it was washed out, after it was driven on the back of the truck 3,000 plus miles, it is still full of sand. So when it crashed, they had to get it out of the water like yesterday. So they wouldn't allow them to bring a barge to float it, to get it up, to save the aircraft. They used tow trucks and they wrapped cables around the wings.
Oh my God.
And they tried pulling it forward. Now, they didn't put the gear down. They just drug it on the
You're just trying to get it out of the ocean at first. I think you're not thinking of...
Right. It was get it out because
You're not thinking of preserving the plane at that point.
Forget.
So the one thing I want to talk about in here is the sand. And the funny part is that when I bought the remains of my C-47, November 8056, which was, for its military number is 4348474, which I now have painted as Pride and Joy. When I purchased it in California, and it was sitting in the desert at the civilian boneyard out there, when I first saw it, it was a mess, and I figured out it's a great project. I'd like to find a really good project, and that one ended up being it. But in any case, when I purchased it and had it sent over to New Jersey from California, they shrink wrapped it for me, which was really nice of them to do. And when I got it, I went down to where I had it shipped to, and so I opened up part of the shrink wrap just to see inside, just to see at least how some of it fared. And when I stuck my hand inside, there was still sand. There was still sand from the boneyard inside the remains of November 8056, and which is kind of neat. So I understand that sand will never leave until you do a full nose to tail air compressor blowout of everything imaginable in there, from dirt to grime to sand to critters. And literally that's what I did. I took the air compressor and took the nozzle and blew everything out, and it was that was fun. Dirty as hell though.
So the bomb bay doors are over here, and they are absolutely mangled because, again, it was drugged through the sand.
Mainly for the
You can
fence.
just see how bad those
powerful
bomb bay
sand
doors
is,
are.
and that's why underneath.
And the whole underneath is destroyed. So a lot of the guys here at Restoration are like, we don't want to do that. That is a lifetime project. Well, as soon as the F-117 leaves, this is going to sit in its spot, and it will become the long-term project to get done.
Are we going to leave it a little bit mangled?
No, we're going to put it back to display status. Everybody's like, throw all the parts down, throw sand down, and display it as is.
I love that. Why not?
It's too valuable of an aircraft to do that. And this is the type of plane, not this plane, but the Avenger. President Bush flew this during World War II.
Right.
So it's kind of a cool plane to do that. And once they tried to drag it forward.
So I want to talk a little bit about their display plane. Okay, so one, they want to do a nose to tail restoration on this aircraft, make it look spick and span and pretty as heck. I kind of disagree with it, actually. I actually would like to see this as it was when they dragged it, onto the beach, or as it was in the water. And if you did a water display with it, that would be actually really awesome. There's a Catalina display at, I believe, at Pima. And at Pima, their Catalina is I believe, half display on water, and the other half is display on the land or something like that. I think it's a cutaway as well, so that's actually really cool. I've seen pictures of it. I haven't gone out to Pima to see it yet. So in any case, I'm not really a big fan of the fact that they're going to do a full nose-to-tail restoration on this. Why? And that's because there are plenty of Avengers out there that are beautifully restored static. And then they really look good. And I mean, they look excellent good. Like you can go to Cradle of Aviation in Long Island, see their Avenger. You can go to the Marine Corps Museum, I guess, once it's open, and see their Avenger. I believe they're doing a nose-to-tail restoration on that as well. There's a couple other Avengers that are static as well, and they look really nice from what I've seen in images. And then of course, there's plenty of flying Avengers still out there. You can go down to Mount Pleasant, Texas, to Scott Glover's Mid-America Flight Museum, see a beautiful Avenger flying there. I actually got the chance to fly alongside that Avenger, believe it or not, in God and Country, his B-25. Oh, excuse me, his B-25, and so that was a lot of fun. You can also go to Long Island and go to the American Air Power Museum in Farmingdale and see their Grumman Avenger, and it flies. You can also go to the Mid-Atlantic Air Museum in Reading, Pennsylvania, and see their Avenger. I believe currently it is static. I have not heard of it flying in quite a while. Actually, kind of funny, the Mid-Atlantic Air Museum's Avenger is currently missing paint on this area. I believe they just put new aluminum skin there. So they haven't gotten around to painting that yet. They're working on their P-61. You have many Avengers that are flying. You can go check out some of the CAF Avengers, like the Rocky Mountain Wing Avenger, number 309, which was in Close Encounters of the Third Kind. You can go check out. You can go and check out Planes of Fame's Avenger. You can go check out. God, I can't tell you how many Avengers are out there. You can even go to Colorado and see two Avengers at Westpac, the National World War II Aviation Museum. And speaking of another static Avenger, which is nice, and I haven't seen it in person. But actually, I did, but before they put it in the museum, is you can go to the National World War II Museum in Louisiana and see a nice static Grumman Avenger. I actually did get to see their Avenger sitting in the restoration storage shop many, many years ago, just the fuselage, and that was kind of neat. I got to see a lot of other neat things in their storage facility back in the day. So with that in mind, let's continue this. But I really think it would be neat that they do a gear up display with this Avenger to show it on the beach or in the water. That would be neat. And then they can do a neat immersive display with mannequins, using the rubber raft and showing how to, get out of the airplane, out of, and all that stuff. That'd be a neat display. But they're choosing to do a full, again, like I said, nose to tail restoration. And you can see here how much work they got to do. This all has to come apart. All the skin has to come apart. There's lots of damage underneath all that skin that you're not seeing. You're just thinking that can buff out. This is not your Chevy truck. This is not your vintage BMW restoration. You gotta drill out all those rivets, get all the spars, get all the ribbing and stringers, all either remanufactured and everything else. You got a lot involved. And then the bomb bay doors are a mess. You saw that, and you can see that it's a lot. And you can even see here on the dorsal, that's all shredded. So that's got to get all drilled out and then reformed. It's definitely a long-term project. It's not an easy deal. This is a nightmare. I think the Walter Spallata collection, that Avenger is, I believe, at the CAF Arizona wing in Mesa. And I believe they're choosing not to restore that one to flight. I think they just did a static display with it, as far as I'm aware. Maybe in the future they'll maybe do rebuild it to flight. I'm not sure. I think it's kind of neat just to see an Avenger as it is, fresh, out of a boneyard or out of someone's collection. So let's get on with the rest of the video.
It wouldn't go. They just were creating damage. They turned it around and tried to drag it backwards.
No.
So all this damage that you see on the bottom and the wing, everywhere, wasn't from the crash, other than the engine mount itself.
Yeah, that obviously
was from them trying to get this plane out. They couldn't take their time. It was get it out, or the fines were enormous for them. So they destroyed the aircraft. Somebody bought it, donated it to Castle Island Museum, and took the tax write-off. That's how we acquired. So we own this
see
plane.
all this damage in here.
When did the crash happen?
It was 22, 23.
And then this came right after. This came soon after.
No, not soon. We only got it a year ago.
So, yeah.
So we brought it in the hangar, and then we keep pushing it back because it is such a lot of work. And we have other projects to do.
Yeah, if you're going to restore it fully.
It can't go much further back before it goes out the back door.
If you're going to restore it fully, I can see what that would take some time.
Right. So this will be a cool one. I mean, a World War II plane, there's not a lot of them left. And to be able to have one, and again, it'll go inside. We don't have any place to put it inside, so it can sit here.
And why were they flying it that day? Do we know?
Well, they were flying for an air show. They just did it, and the other plane that was flying with them said, "Hey, you're trailing smoke. Now we're good. We're good. Hey, there's smoke. The smoke's getting bigger.
Oh no.
No, we're good. One more pass." Well, didn't quite make it.
Okay, I'm gonna really rip this apart. I'm really gonna rip this one apart. I don't understand the Warbird pilot, the owner and operator for the day, who was in charge of this aircraft. You have to be really stupid, in my opinion, or you weren't thinking. You were really just not using your brain at all. When you're flying formation and you have an aircraft off your right wing, left wing, actually, I'll just use this as an example. Here's a book of C-47. When you have an aircraft flying off your right wing, and yes, you can see there's tracers in the air. Let's just imagine the engine is smoking out of that left engine on that C-47, or better yet to say it's coming out the right, because that C-4 is going to see it. So if the C-47 here is trailing smoke, and that C-47 in the background can see it. And he's the pilot there, and he's ignoring this C-47 from acknowledgement, saying, "Hey, you're trailing smoke." But he did acknowledge him and said, "Yep, it's okay." That is the most stupidest thing I've ever heard. And frankly, when you hear them acknowledge the fact that it's okay, I'm going to back this up because I couldn't believe this.
Well, they were flying for an air show. They just did it. But we're good. Hey,
So you said, yeah, we're good. Well, that's one, you take that seriously, especially with an aircraft like an Avenger or a C-47 or B-17 or B-25. So the first time you hear it, yeah, we're okay, and then they said, and then the second time,
oh, the smoke's getting bigger. Hey, you're trailing smoke. Now we're good. We're good. Hey, there's smoke. The smoke's getting bigger.
Oh, no.
No, we're good. One more pass.
So there you go. So they said, no, we're good. We're going for another pass. No. Okay, a great example, and actually this goes back to another Grumman Avenger. Back in 2015, actually it's May 8th, 2015. Or was it 24? Was it the other one? I think it was 2015. The Jerry Yegan's Avenger from the Vintage Military Aviation Museum or something like that down in Virginia Beach. His Avenger actually had smoke in the cockpit. The pilot did actually acknowledge that. Well, you couldn't miss the smoke in the cockpit, and he declared an emergency and landed at the nearest airport. That was the smartest thing he did. He saved the aircraft and he saved himself. He saved himself first, thank goodness for that. The aircraft, you can lose the airplane. You're important. The first thing you think of is your personal self and go, yep, we're on fire. Pull out of here. Declare emergency. Call the trucks. Say, hey, foam and trucks, please. I have an emergency. I'm coming in. I'm smoking and I'm on fire. I don't know if I'm on fire or not. I know I'm smoking. Great decision. You do this. This pilot, who was flying this Avenger, I wish I was looking at the canopy at the moment, decides to keep going and, well...
didn't quite make it.
Yep, there you go. He didn't quite make it. He was an idiot. In my opinion, I couldn't believe you made the decision to not declare an emergency, peel off, go and land, and save yourself and the airplane at the same time. You decided to do the opposite by, no, we're good, we'll do another pass, and you risk yourself. And I don't know if there was anybody else in the back of the airplane. There shouldn't have been during an air show. You don't put people in the airplane. And this is another example why. When you're doing an air show, you do not put people in the back of the airplane, or if you're in a B-25 in the nose, or anything. You do not do any of this if you're doing an air show, because you do not know what's going to happen. This is a prime example of do not do this. In quotations, do not do this. And this is what happens when you do not listen to your wingmen, and something's going to happen. Let's play the rest of this video.
Kudos to the pilot for landing it the way.
Right, did it in the water. He did a beautiful tail drag. Dragged the tail, slows the plane down, and it's supposed to settle into the water. Minimal damage to the aircraft.
That's not always...
Okay, so he did a textbook water landing. Another prime example of a textbook water landing, and you'll see it at the end of this video. So Bill Gordon, who was flying Jackie's Revenge from the American Air Power Museum in Long Island, that aircraft had an engine failure, or an issue. Let's just go with issue. And he did a textbook water landing with the aircraft perfectly, by the way. And unfortunately, he couldn't get out of his harness and get the canopy open. And unfortunately, he did perish in the aircraft, which is a total shame. Bill was a very nice pilot. I did get a chance to talk to him a couple of times back in the day, pick his brain on the Thunderbolt, which the P-47 Thunderbolt, because that's a nice airplane, by the way, and but unfortunately, he did do a textbook water landing, but it's unfortunate that he just couldn't get out of his harness, and I think in my opinion, it was probably a lot going on at the same time, and it was probably all that water, coming in. I think it was just too quick. But in any case, again, yes, he did a textbook water landing with the P-47, and this pilot did do a textbook water landing with this aircraft. He did do a good job on that.
It's how you fly the plane. It's how you crash it.
Yeah. He walked away, but the salt water itself did damage. We have the engine. The engine is absolutely destroyed for being in the water for less than 24 hours. This plane would never, ever fly again because of all the saltwater damage to it, plus the structural damage from them dragging this out of the surf.
Third time was a charm for getting into retirement for good.
Somebody's loss is Castle Air Museum's game.
I do love that there was little stands in it. There was something
Yeah,
really cool.
you guys definitely got a project on your hands.
Yeah, so it's a cool plane. We will eventually get it back in. We have other projects that are priority. This is definitely a long-term project, so it's got to sit as soon as the 117 comes out. It can take up that floor space, and we can.
Oh, and it will.
Eventually, it will look good.
What?
I again disagree with this.
Open cockpit there, no.
I think it would be.
we
So they can
open.
come in this one too. Okay, I didn't know if we
Right,
could
well,
come back.
depending on how many volunteers we get.
I still kind of disagree with the full nose to tail restoration. I believe that it should be in its last operational look, and that would be its crash and it's unfortunate. We'll just go with demise, being towed off of the out of the water by tow trucks, as they'll say in the video here. Unless they already have said that.
We'll open up both hangars.
It's
It really
definitely something
depends
to
on
ask
that.
about on open cockpit days to come see this one.
Right. So if you want to volunteer, the hangar, sure nobody
We're gonna-
Volunteer.
This is
So here you go. Here's the crash. I'm gonna mute the music because I don't want to do copyright stuff. So you can see he's got the tail down. That's a good way to do it. You didn't go nose in first. But let's play the rest of the video. There you go. That is a good water landing. I think he came in maybe just a little still too fast, but best you can do. There's another shot of it. Kudos to the pilot who did land that aircraft. I strongly believe that the aircraft should stay as it was when it either hit the water or when they dragged it onto the beach. And I frankly think that it's a shame that the aircraft is no longer flying, but honestly, the pilot who was flying the airplane that day, you made a really bad decision, and it was bad enough that you endangered yourself, you endangered the airplane, which you lost the airplane, and I don't know if you had a rider in the back or not. You put a lot of risk in that, and that's pretty stupid in my book. I wouldn't have done that. Again, look how close that aircraft is to the people in the water right there. Those little dots are people. Imagine looking up and going, whoa. My first thing I would have done, I would have actually definitely ran out and swam out to the airplane. I'm not kidding. I would have done that. If I was there, I would have gotten the canopy open and I would have got the pilot out. I would have done everything humanly possible to do that. But I just cannot believe the fact that he ignored his wingmen and continued to do the air show performance as it was, when he ignored the fact that his aircraft was smoking, and it could have been a lot worse. The aircraft could have caught on fire and could have literally gone to the ground, a blazing ball. So with that in mind, thanks for listening to my rant on this video. I've been actually interested to catch up on this one after it's been kind of quiet for a while, but I'm able to finally at least get a good enough video to use to discuss what don't you do when you don't listen to people. And this is a prime example of not listening to people who are probably telling you the right thing. So other than that, have a great rest of your day. Bye.